Hi, everybody. In this particular video, I go over one of the many different applications of linear algebra. In this case, allocation of resources. These kind of problems typically go and result in some kind of linear system that you then have to solve. So for example, suppose a biologist has placed 3 strands of a bacteria, which I'll call strand 1, 2, and 3, in a test tube where they're going to feed on 3 different food types, which I'll call A, B, and C. Every single day, 400 units of A, 600 units of B, and 600 units of C are then placed into the test tube. How many bacteria of each strain can coexist in this test tube, assuming that they consume all the food and nobody dies? So this little chart here then shows you for every single strain what they actually consume. So then in a given day, strain 1 will consume 1 unit of A, 1 unit of C, and 2 units of B. Now, let's suppose then that X1, X2, and X3 are just the amounts of these different strains, 1, 2, and 3. Please consider the consumption of food C. For food C, well, bacteria 1 will consume 1 unit for every single cell. Bacteria 2 will consume 1 unit for every single cell, and bacteria 3 will consume 2 units for every single bacteria cell. That means then that the total amount consumed by these different bacteria would be X1 plus X2 plus 2X3. But we're assuming that they eat all the food, because if there's more food left over, then we can cram in more bacteria cells, right? So we'll assume it's equal to the amount of units that we have. You can do the exact same thing for the amount of consumption for food A and for the amount of consumption for food B. By doing so, you get these equations. That's a linear system. We then just solve it by going ahead and putting in an augmented matrix, row reducing it. In this case, I took it to row reduced echelon form. And then you just come back and read off what X1, X2, and X3 equal. In this case, X1 would have to be 160, X2 would be 120, and X3 would then be 160. And that's just how many cells of the strains 1, 2, and 3 could exist in this particular test tube and consume all the food. I think it's enough for that video.